Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We've got an exciting call for you today, so we'll get going in just about 15 seconds or so. We see there's still a lot of people jumping on right now, so we'll start in just a few seconds right here. But if you're new to these calls, obviously you can ask any question that you want in the little chat box. If we don't immediately answer, we will towards the very end during the Q&A, but we have some help on the call too, so we'll actually be answering you both via the text as well as live during the Q&A as well. So keep that in mind. And of course, if you have any issues or lost passwords or stuff like that, you can always write support@webfire.com, and they'll help you super fast on that stuff. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Hey everyone, welcome again to another WebFire Wednesday webinar. I've got some really exciting stuff for you on this call once again. My name is Brian Kaz, and I'm also joined by Sean Casey as well. You'll probably hear him maybe talk towards the end in the Q&A. I got some really cool stuff to share with you on this call, and it's all about how to profit off of backlinks in more ways than one. And then we'll have a longer Q&A this time compared to the past time. So if you have any questions even way outside of this topic, feel free to ask away, and we'll do our best to answer you in the Q&A, if not sooner in the chat box as well while I talk. So we will begin. All right, so again, these calls are every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll host a live training and/or Q&A call for WebFire members. So obviously if you're here, you know about that. But every week, the same time, we'll have new calls. So make sure to jump on board those. Now, these trainings will either feature myself or Sean Casey, both of us at once, or occasionally a featured special guest if we think that their expertise would be of good value to our members. Occasionally we run across guys that do some pretty cool stuff, and oftentimes we'll ask them if they would like to share some stuff with you. So occasionally we'll have some of those available as well. Now, if you're here or registered for these series of calls, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day or so of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar inside of WebFire. Use these calls as an opportunity to get even more training, ask strategy type questions, get feedback, or make suggestions on what else you'd like to see. Now, once again, we'll go over the 3 rules to WebFire member rules to success. Number 1, follow the steps in the trainings that we have. There's oftentimes a lot of people that will ask the question that's like clearly, explained in the training or even in the Jumpstart video and stuff like that. So make sure to, watch those first. Also, don't give up. Seek help when needed, but also don't get too dependent. Like, don't rely on us to, like if you have like a silly question that you could easily answer yourself in like a second, don't be too dependent where each time you wait before you do anything to take the leap and try out stuff right there. But at the same time, if you get stuck, obviously seek help and such when you can, and we're glad to help you. And third, no whining or negative attitudes, because again, this is the quickest way to fail. If you have a negative attitude to start with, you will always look for reasons to fail, and that's never a good thing. So I have a quick question for all of you on this call. It's only one. It will just take like a half a minute. I want you to please respond in the chat box with the number next to what best describes your current business. So type in 1 if you're brand new or just starting out or haven't really made much of anything yet. Press 2 if you made a little money online, but not much. And this can be money in any business online. It doesn't have to be with like a specific method or course or anything like that. So hit 2 if you made a little money online, but not much. Type in 3 in the chat box if you make between 1 and 5K a month off your business. Type in 4 if you make between 5 and 10K or so a month. Type in 5 if you make between 10 and 25K a month. And lastly, type in 6 if you make over 25 grand a month. So we'll give you maybe half minute to respond right there, and then we'll get on with the training. All right, so it looks like lots and lots of different answers. All right, cool. So it looks like we have a pretty good range of people on the call, so that's always good to see. And all the training stuff that you'll see here can easily be applied to essentially anyone. But we'll oftentimes try to cater specific examples towards who we think would most use it or basically need it. So all right, guys. So thanks for that right there. And as a special announcement, guys, we have yet another new tool that's currently in beta, but we'll talk about that in the very near future on one of the future calls, because we have a handful of new features which will be rolling out with that, and that is the content submitter. This is a cool way where you can easily submit content to multiple blogs at once, as well as submit it to a site that can distribute your content across the web as well. So we have that currently in beta, but there's a couple new features that we'll add very, very, very soon. Like right now, we allow you to just distribute the content across the web, as well as submit to blogger sites, and very, very soon we'll allow you to submit to WordPress sites as well. So that will be out very, very, very shortly here. But just want to make that quick announcement. So last week you saw a special announcement on Tweet Lead Finder, which again, all of these you have available for free inside of WebFire. So we just wanted to make that quick announcement right here that there's even more. And then on top of that, there's even more stuff that we have planned as well that we'll be announcing in the future too. So some pretty cool stuff, including some stuff that we could easily sell for like 1,000 plus, even like 1,000 plus per year, that you guys will actually be getting for free. So we'll talk to you about those a bit more in the future, but just wanted to make that announcement that there's another one that's coming out soon here. So now let's move on to the training for the day, followed by our Q&A, where you can ask us anything that you want. So here's what you'll learn today. First, the old school uses of backlinks, and then the new school uses of backlinks and how they can do more than just help your rankings. And then, of course, we will do our Q&A. Now, first, let's start with the old school uses for backlinks. First of all, what are backlinks? I know most of you know what that is. We cover that a lot in training, but I know there's probably at least a few of you on this call that are asking that very question right now. So I'll briefly explain that, and then we'll go on to why they're useful and some cool stuff that you can do with them. First, backlinks are essentially links from other sites that link to your own site. Backlinks from relevant sites can help increase your own rankings, authority, and help bring in traffic. Traditionally, years ago, you could get a ton of backlinks and usually increase your rankings just by basically doing that, which is why you see a ton of $5 Fiverr offerings where for $5 there's lots of people that offer like backlinking service where you'll literally get like hundreds of backlinks or thousands of backlinks for $5. But unfortunately, as you'll find out, they don't really always work all that well, at least now. Whereas years ago, that used to actually work decently well, but because it was kind of like spammy to start with, I knew that those days would always be numbered. But backlinks by themselves, don't really work all that well anymore. And they can oftentimes do more harm than good if you don't target those backlinks well. A few highly relevant backlinks will beat out hundreds to thousands of random backlinks any day. So again, even just 1, 2, or 3 relevant backlinks will hands down beat out even 1,000 backlinks that aren't as relevant any day, anytime. Even just a couple backlinks from highly relevant sites can greatly help boost your own rankings. That's why tools like our lead tools, our guest blog finder tool, and so forth can all help you get relevant links back to your site. And here's basically some examples of how. So for instance, using the guest blog finder tool, you could find blogs out there that accept guest blog posts. You could write an article or a blog post for each one and get basically a relevant backlink from those sites to your site. So of course you'd write a relevant article and have it be on a relevant blog, which our tool helps you find. And that's a great way of, again, getting instant authority, a boost in traffic, and of course a highly relevant backlink. Whereas with several of our other lead tools, like the real-time lead tool, the ranked lead tool, and the Q&A lead tool, all those can help you find places where you can post on and give links to videos, websites, viewers, all that stuff right there as an option. You don't, of course, have to link to your site with the lead tool, but it can help. And when you do that, again, obviously you're trying to target leads that are highly relevant to your site, so it counts as a highly relevant backlink, especially if you provide actual value first. So if they see that your link is in the middle of like a post that talks about like, tips relevant to what you basically talk about, they see that as being, a useful post and basically relevant. Whereas if you just spam a link all over, it's not really surrounded by any useful text or anything, that doesn't really help you as much. So if you go about getting these backlinks the correct way, they can have great results in your rankings. But there's an even bigger, or there's many even bigger benefits you can get by thinking of backlinks in a bit of a different way. And this will help you make more money regardless if you're looking to use backlinks for your own sites or to sell it as a service. Now, it would normally be hard to compete with like a $5 crappy service for selling hundreds of backlinks when most prospects don't know any better. So like if you had a service where you said, hey, I'll get you, 5 or 10 relevant backlinks a month, and someone saw that next to a server, and let's say you charge, $100, and you're competing against a guy that says, hey, for $5 I'll get you 1,000 backlinks, the smarter guys, like the guys that know a bit more about SEO and stuff like that, like most of you on this call, you would understand that the $5 offer probably isn't all that great. But for a lot of businesses out there, they think, wow, I'm comparing 10 backlinks to 1,000 backlinks, and 1,000 backlinks is cheaper. Therefore, I'll go with the cheaper one that gives more, because they don't know any better. So you don't want to really compete with those guys just based on that right there. But I'll show you a little trick where you can change the name of the game and not only get them better results, but sell them on better benefits that you can do that these guys here can't. And instead of charging essentially pennies on the dollar, you can charge hundreds, even thousands of dollars for the exact same thing, and it will be even easier in your case. So that brings us to the next part of this talk, and that's what I call new school backlink tactics. So this is all why backlinks can be thought in a little bit of a different way than just what you're used to being taught. And I think this will really open up a lot of your eyes to some cool stuff that you can easily do. So instead of just getting backlinks for the sake of rankings, which is how most people view backlinks, you can use them to forge relationships with other related but not competing sites or businesses. These relationships can make you a lot of money with just one deal. And it can work both locally as well as globally. And on top of that, you not only can forge relationships to earn money with them, you also get the benefit of the backlink and ranking and all that too. And these types of links will give you a huge rank boost compared to most normal backlinks out there. So here's what you can do. Instead of just trying to get a backlink out there, try to establish relationships with other businesses where you both can make each other money through either mutually beneficial referrals or by referral fees or incentives. So instead of just saying, hey, if you refer me guys, I'll refer you guys, which works in some cases, you can incentivize them to actually refer people your way by paying them a cut. For instance, if you have a product on how to pick out a diamond, why not reach out to sites and product owners that deal with things like marriage proposal ideas, weddings, holiday gifts, so on and so forth. Or another example, if you have a product on weight loss, why not reach out to sites and product owners that deal with things like back pain, energy levels, so on and so forth. They're related but not directly competing, because again, you don't directly compete with them, but you often share a lot of the same crowd. Here's a few things that you can then do. First, offer to write an article specifically for their top prospects in exchange for a backlink. This helps your partners gain extra chances to rank for content on their own site, gives them more info to pass on to their clients or prospects without competing with themselves. And if you offer a referral fee or use an affiliate link, it gives them a chance to make more money on top of that they wouldn't have made otherwise. The second way is that you can offer to refer each other, relevant clients either for free or more than likely a referral fee. For instance, a wedding planner could definitely have an easy relationship with a wedding photographer. Do you think those guys truly can compete with each other? No. A wedding planner doesn't take the photos just like, a photographer doesn't, plan out, the wedding. But are they sharing the same prospect and the same client? Absolutely. Could they possibly refer each other? Absolutely. Could they make money off of each other the same way for those same referrals? Absolutely. If there's a wedding planner that has an article on their site about how to, about what to look for, in a wedding photographer, or what kind of photos, tend to be the best or the most popular or anything like that, do you think that type of article hurts her or scares away clients? No, it helps the clients. It makes the clients think, oh, this is an awesome wedding planner. They have even more info, even outside of stuff that they, directly sell through them. At the same time, you can make money off each other there. Another example is a website graphic designer. They'd probably be a great fit for an SEO specialist. Now, does an SEO guy know how to make website? Probably not. Does a website graphics guy know how to do a lot of SEO? You might know a little bit, but most of them probably not either. Are they sharing the exact same client? Absolutely. Could they make money off each other, selling each other's services and such? Absolutely. Or another example, let's say there's an ebook on how to get out of a speeding ticket or some other kind of a ticket. That could be a great thing for a lawyer who doesn't want to take on smaller clients. For instance, if you had a book on how to get out of a speeding ticket, you could reach out to a bunch of lawyers, offer a referral fee or anything like that. If there's a lawyer that sees someone trying to argue over like a $100 ticket, they might say, hey, sure, you can hire me and fight this for like $1,000 or so, but you're paying $1,000 instead of $100. So maybe you might want to check out this instead. So it's a way for them to still profit off the smaller clients. Or on the reverse, if you're an ebook seller who has a bigger client, like let's say you have a client that has a very severe case and you find out about that, you could recommend a specialist for them and sometimes work out some kind of like a referral or per lead cost right there. So it can be a win-win in both cases right there. And either way, you're not really hurting each other's business in this case either. You're only helping expand, more chances basically you have of making money. So you're not losing out on a sale at all here. The third way is you can offer to either integrate your products or offers with their own or let them white label your stuff. Any business owner wants to make more money, and if they can offer more services that they're paid on without doing more work at all, it's truly a win-win. The more hands-free you make it for them and the more you pay, the more likely they'll make a deal with you. The more you lay it out for them and talk about how it could integrate with their current stuff, the better. And you can even provide extra content, emails, or pitches for them to offer their prospects or clients. So again, the more you offer them from the start, the more likely they are to follow through on it. If you make it super easy for them to promote your stuff and make money off you, whether they sell your stuff directly or package it with their stuff or white label it or anything like that, the more easy you make it, the more likely they are to take action with that right there. And again, at the end of the day, everyone wants to make more money. I've never run into anyone that says, nope, I'm fine. I don't want to make any more at all. I don't really care at all. They're all looking for some way to make more. And if you can offer them a service where they can do that, there's a lot of guys who will take you up on that. In all of these cases, you've taken something simple like just reaching out to these guys to get a backlink and turn it into more of how to make money together with them type thing. It's virtually the same amount of effort and work as it would be just asking them if they'd be interested in a guest blog post. But the cool part here is that you not only can use this for your own business or website, but you can sell this as a service to others without having to compete with the many crappy $5 Fiverr offers out there. And keep in mind here, even if the deal falls through or you don't make much, you still get the relevant backlink where that can still give a huge boost to your own rankings. A backlink like this from a quality place is worth far, far, far more. So worst case, you have a deal where it doesn't make much, but it gets you a quality backlink that gives you a huge boost in rankings. Best case, you not only get the boost in rankings, you also get those guys referring you sales and such, and doing deals like that where just one deal can be worth an absolute fortune. For instance, which of these sounds better now? So, we talked about at the start about how you don't want to compete with the $5 Fiverr offers that say, hey, for 1,000 random, backlinks for $5, you don't want to compete with that kind of offer. So now, which of these two sound better? And what I want you guys to do is I want you right now in the chat box after I explain it to actually type in what you think sounds better. So type 1 if you think getting 1,000 random, potentially harmful backlinks for $5 sounds like a better deal, or type in 2 if you think getting a service that automatically tries to set these kinds of deals up to now get you a few highly targeted backlinks, but also try to forge business relationships with them where one deal could result in thousands to even tens of thousands of dollars or more a year. And in some cases, a lot more. One single deal can be worth a fortune. And even if you charge, let's say, hundreds of dollars a month or more, okay? So even though you're charging hundreds of dollars a month compared to $5, which one do you think sounds like a more appealing offer? All right, looks like almost everyone is saying 2, with the exception of one guy who I think is just being sarcastic, who said he'd rather have the harmful backlinks. There's always among the crowd. But yeah, so all of a sudden, almost all of you are saying 2, when the difference is, 1 is only a few backlinks and it's hundreds of dollars, a month compared to just, $5 for 1,000 backlinks. So all of a sudden, you're not competing with the $5 guy, and you sound better than the $5 guy, even though you're offering a lot less backlinks here. So to most prospects, especially serious business owners, the second option sounds way more appealing, especially when just one deal can result in a lot of money. And even just getting the highly relevant backlink can help increase their rankings as an added bonus at the same time. So worst comes to worse, you get the big increase in rankings. Best case, you make a lot more off of it right there. And when you do this kind of service each month, you can greatly increase who you might do these kinds of business deals with. And you can stand out from the crowd while charging a lot more. In fact, $300 to $1,000 or so a month might sound cheap all of a sudden to the right prospect, because you're not just getting them a few backlinks, which sounds like, it sounds really expensive to charge $1,000 for a few backlinks when they see for $5 they could get 1,000 backlinks. But when you sell it like this, where it's like, hey, here's what I'm really doing. It's not just getting these backlinks. I'm trying to forge these kinds of business deals and relationships on your behalf right here. It sounds a lot more appealing, where a guy might think, well, for $1,000, if I just get one deal, I could earn 12 months worth of what that price would be right there. And if they get a few deals, that'd be a home run. And each and every month, if they could land more business deals. I mean, one business deal with the right site or the right place can literally be tens of thousands, if not more, per year in easy extra income right there. In some cases, a lot more. And that's despite how the work is almost the exact same, if not even easier. So that's the key. I don't want to just teach you guys stuff that you can charge a lot more for that takes a lot of work. I want to teach you guys stuff that you can charge a lot more for that takes the same, if not less work than what everyone else is basically doing. So you can compete with the $5 guys and sell a service for $4 and hope that you somehow get tons and tons of sales and get like swamped in work where you don't even have a minute free, and at the end of the day you make squat. Or you can spend way less time than them and charge way, way, way more and give them a better service to start with too. So here's what you do in either case, whether you use it for your own site or whether you use it as a service to sell. You can use the guest blog post tool or the competition backlink tool inside of WebFire, and then you can email out to the relevant sites you want to hit up. So with the guest blog post finder, you can find the blogs that you can do a guest blog post on to find relevant sites. Or with the competition backlink tool, you can find where your competition gets their traffic from and try to strike a deal with those places. Or of course, you can search by hand. Like if you're, let's say, like a local business, you probably know who lots of like the other local businesses are who might be relevant to you, and of course you could just search by hand and contact them that way as well. But then you just email out to the relevant sites or businesses that you want to hit up, and then you send an email where you're basically trying to establish either a mutually beneficial relation or figure out a way where it greatly benefits them. Don't just be about you, which we talked a lot about this on the last call. Lots of people are focused only on them. You want to see how you can basically help them first and foremost. And again, you want to try not to be too spammy. Follow the tricks and stuff that we taught last week and how to reply to leads. The same thing applies right here. And then sit back and watch for replies and then respond to them and start working out on these kinds of deals. And here's some examples of what you can say. And in all these cases, you can reach out and just say, hey, I see that you do yada, yada, yada. I do this, and I was just thinking there might be a way where we can mutually benefit each other and, help expand, each other's businesses. It doesn't have to be, a complicated email, or if you're not exactly sure on, what you would propose, you just reach out and see what they say. But here's a few specific examples. Let's say that you want to do a deal between like an SEO and a web design service. So let's say that you're, in this case, an SEO guy. Even though you can easily do the exact opposite, if you're the website graphic guy. Well, let's say you're, an SEO guy in this case. You can reach out to a bunch of web designers that appear to do freelance work, or some larger web design type firms, which can be a home run. They're oftentimes harder to convince a larger firm to deal, but when the deals go through, they're worth a fortune. So it's definitely worth your time in trying to think through how you can offer them the most value and the most benefit for them. So you would reach out and say, hey, I see that you're a well-known web design firm here. I actually run an SEO firm, and I was thinking that there could be some mutually beneficial relations that we could start here if you don't offer SEO services, or if you do offer them but don't offer these specific things, where you can literally go to some of our prior calls and just go through all the possible services that you can do with WebFire and list out those, like it could be like a PR service that reaches out to find like guest blog post deals and stuff like that. It could be a content service that makes and distributes content. It could be an SEO service that helps get sites ranked and all that. I mean, just go through that list and list off all the stuff that you can do there and see if they either do or don't sell SEO, or if they're interested in possibly providing any of these other services that you do right there. And then you can go on to say, I'd be happy to do like a white label type deal or a referral type deal, whichever one you're most interested in, yada yada. And here's some of what you could charge, and here's what your profit would be. So you want to give like realistic numbers. Like oftentimes guys, what I see, they make the huge mistake of they try to reach out to a place that can make them a fortune, and they'll say like, I'll pay you a 5% cut. And it's just like an absolute joke. Like if you're a place that has access to possibly thousands of buyers and someone asks you to do a deal and says, hey, can you send me all of your clients, refer them to me, and I'll pay you a 5% cut, they'll laugh at you because you're being insanely greedy at that point. You're basically saying you don't care about them as a partner or anything like that. And really you want to offer a fair amount to start with. And what I try to do is try to think of what your raw cost would essentially be. So if you outsource this work, or if you do the work yourself, try to place a value on what your outsource cost is, or what your hourly cost is, and then try to work out what your actual profit would be at that point. And typically you want to try to like split essentially the profit with them. And the more that they get, the more likely they are to do a deal with you. Because if they see that, crap, I could offer this service hands-free, not do any work, and get paid probably just as much as if I were to like find the workers myself, hire them, put all this together, take that huge risk. I mean, you have a done deal at that point, because they don't want to take that risk, especially if you have the social proof where they can rest assured that their clients are well taken care of. And if you don't have the social proof, again, you can get the social proof. Again, you can rank your own site. You can use an outsourced worker that has their own social proof to start with, and all that stuff right there. Another example of the wedding planner and wedding photographer, let's say that you're the photographer in this case, or you have a client that's one. You could reach out to all the local wedding planners and say, hey, X place right here. I was wondering if there'd be some way that we could mutually benefit each other and either refer each other clients, or if you would be interested in taking an article that I made specifically for you that you could post on your site that your guys would find helpful, and it's what to look for in a wedding photographer, or what are the most popular wedding shots to do, and make it a good article with pictures and all that stuff included right there, and say, hey, you can use this, you can post it on your site. All I ask for is a link back, and you can even incentivize them to say, hey, if someone clicks link or checks me out, if I ask them how they first found me or heard of me, if they mention your site, I'll pay you X amount as a fee. I mean, that's an extra incentive on top of that, where it kind of be a no-brainer for a lot of those guys. And the more you offer them, the more likely that they are to do that deal. In fact, if you offer a good enough incentive, they'll flat out tell probably their clients, oh, a really good photographer is this person right here. You might want to check them out. I actually have a coupon through them where you can save X amount off of their service. That's another great thing that you can do, is you can give them essentially coupons that they can hand out. When someone uses that, that they're referred by that person there, and then of course you can give them their referral fee too. Another example is let's say that you own a weight loss product or site, and you can reach out to people that sell back pain products. I mean, there's literally like probably hundreds of different services or products that you could reach out to. Back pain was just the first one that came to mind, because in this case, a lot of people might have back pain because they have a weight issue. Now, certainly there's people that don't have a weight problem and still have back problems, but there's a segment of that market that has that kind of back pain because they could lose some weight. So you're not competing with either, but you're sharing some of the same market right there. So as a weight loss guy, you could reach out and say, hey, I sell this product or this offer right here, and I oftentimes see that there's lots of guys with back pain, that one of the major things that can help them on top of all the useful stuff that you basically teach them and do is if they lose some weight. And here's some of the easiest ways that they can lose weight. Would you be interested if I wrote, a unique article just for your guys, which you can post on your site? You can get, the search engine traffic to and all that stuff right there. All I want in exchange is a backlink or is a link to my site, and I'll even pay you for referrals. So they could even use an affiliate link on that right there. And then say, perhaps in exchange, you'll have a section on your site where, if they want to do the exact same thing and have, let's say an article or something on back pain, you could mention that and refer stuff to them through an affiliate link there. So it's a win-win. I mean, if someone really has a problem and they can lose weight and have a back pain issue, they're a perfect client for both of those. It won't be like, they only buy one and not necessarily the other, because you're not competing with them. You're only really, again, working with them to make even more. And remember, guys, just one of these deals can make a fortune for you or your clients. And on that note, before I get to that, one last one right here. Again, guys, just one of these deals, as I said, can make a fortune, but keep in mind, because just one deal can make a fortune, if you sell the service to other people, because just one deal can make so much, it increases the value of what you can charge. It increases the value all of a sudden of what that just one backlink is actually worth. So it's not just a backlink at this point, it's possible a referral deal that's done for them. And all you're really doing is, again, sending out simple email templates and stuff and just trying to get some kind of a deal made there. You're not necessarily guaranteeing a deal or anything like that, but I mean, if you mail 20 guys, you're likely to get, at least a handful of them writing back and showing some kind of interest right there. Because again, at the end of the day, everyone's all about making more money. And as long as you put the other, prospect first, instead of just your own needs or wants and stuff, they'll happily try to think of how you both can work together to mutually benefit each other in as easiest a way as possible. So service like this can, again, be worth hundreds of dollars, even $1,000 or more per month for fairly easy work that might only take you 5 to 10 minutes to actually do with WebFire each month for something that, again, you can charge hundreds of dollars, perhaps even $1,000 or more a month for simple services like this right here, which again by hand might be quite hard, but through WebFire it makes it super, super easy to all of a sudden do. So on that note, guys, who here would be interested in learning more next week on how you can work directly with us on creating and selling high-end services to others through a unique offer that we have? So we actually occasionally do like a very elite course on how to create and sell high-end services and such to others. And by high-end, I usually mean like a minimum of $500 to $1,000 a month as a service that you'd sell. If it's a one-time fee, usually like $2 or $3 grand up front, but nothing that's like $100 or less or anything like that. I mean, we're basically talking hundreds of dollars, ideally more like 1,000 plus per month, and how exactly you can create that kind of service, as well as not have to do any of that actual work, as well as how you can create the pitches and stuff, create the sales pitch, how you can find and market clients and all that stuff right there. So if you'd be interested in that next week, just say a quick yes in the chat box. All right, tons and tons and tons of yeses. I don't think I've seen a single no yet. Oh, and just as I wrote that, one person said no, probably as a joke there. So, all right, so tons and tons and tons of yeses. All right, guys. So with that, we can move on to the Q&A. So we'll have a bit of a longer Q&A, and it can be, on our last calls we had like, longer calls with a shorter Q&A, so we tended to have the Q&A stay more on topic. But on this one, we'll have a bit of a longer Q&A if you guys want. So if there's any questions, whether it's on the topic here or on anything else regarding rankings, traffic, or anything like that, feel free to ask away, and we'll do this for a short while, and then we'll move on to the cash giveaway immediately after that. So if you want to win some cash, stay tuned, because again, usually each week we give out $100, and you have a chance to win that. So if you have any questions at all, you can ask those, then we'll answer a few of those, and we'll take a short break, and then we'll do the cash giveaway during the break there, and we'll follow it up by more questions if you guys have. And also as a random note, usually for whatever reason, there's always like a few guys that are on this call that somehow like snuck on that don't have WebFire. So someone shared like the registration link, or they somehow found it.
You make it sound like they've crossed the border or something.
Yeah, it's perfectly, yes, perfectly okay. But you know, there's always a handful that you know, aren't actual members, even though this is, you know, a WebFire call. And if by chance you are one of those people that you know, someone shared this link with, you can check out WebFire at getwebfire.com/today. Again, that's getwebfire.com/today. So that's for those that are on this call that got it shared or anything like that. And I know probably like 98% of you are all members and all that, but there's always a couple guys asking, so that's why we have that link right there. So again, it's just getwebfire.com/today. And now we'll go back to the Q&A. So any questions, you guys can ask away, and Sean and myself will try to answer as best as we can.
All right, Brian.
Sean, if you see any questions, feel free to shout out those and answer, or I can answer too. Just I know there's been a lot of questions while I was talking, so you probably have an idea of what was asked while I was talking. Alrighty.
All right, so we got to be careful because we have a delayed echo for some reason today.
All right, I'll make sure to, when you talk, I'll mute on my end, and when I talk, just mute on your end. That should eliminate it probably.
Okay, so we have a somebody was asking what's a white label. I want to make sure everybody understands that one. I'll answer that, which is, so white label or private label is where you're creating a product or a service that somebody else is selling under a different name. So one of the easiest ways to think about it is like clothing lines, right? There are clothing lines that are unique to department stores where really it's some designer or manufacturer made up a line of clothing for that store and put the store's label on it, you know, whatever, you know, designer name they wanted to put on it, like they actually designed and created the clothing. So it's private labeled. So you could have a service that you provide for, let's say, a company that builds websites where they're like, oh yeah, we do SEO for all our clients, and they really are doing it, billing their clients as if it's them, but you're actually doing the work. So you let them take all the credit because you don't actually care if you get the credit. You just want to get paid, right? Okay. Somebody else asked earlier, just so we can clarify in case it wasn't clear, what's a backlink? A backlink is simply a link from another website to your website. So anytime you're getting a link in, you know, from posting in a forum, swap with a site, whatever it is you might be doing, you know, putting an article on somebody's website, adding content to their site, that's a backlink to your site. So then Harmesh asked this question of you, Brian, is that not called a reciprocal backlink, Brian? I think when you're talking about training things, and Google, he says Google doesn't class them in the same light as a backlink just going to your website. And would you explain the difference and what that means?
All right, sure. And at the same time, I'll actually answer Alan's question too, because they're pretty close to, and I'll just say what his is too. He was asking, do we still promote getting links from forums and comments, because he's seen that a lot of links from those are oftentimes no follow, and he's asking if that's still relevant in 2016. So I'll actually answer both those guys. If you have no clue what that stuff means, you will in a minute. So the first one, you know, he was basically saying there's something called like a reciprocal backlink, which basically means I link to you and you link to me, where that is like both sides are basically linking to each other, whereas like a one-way backlink is like they just link to you or you just link to them. So it used to be, like, there's a lot of stuff out there that you'll see that's based upon stuff that's like 5 years old. Like, there's a lot of courses out there that talk a lot about that. So it used to be, as we said, like many years back, it used to be if you had a bunch of backlinks, you'd get ranked high because they basically would give you a lot of authority and stuff. And then they changed and said, well, people are gaming the system. You can have a lot of crappy backlinks. There's also guys that get lots of reciprocal backlinks. So they changed it to say, hey, if there's a bunch of sites linking back and forth to each other, let's try not to give those as much weight. So they gave those less weight back then. However, right now, they really look at like the relevancy of it. So even if it's like a reciprocal backlink, it's not as important as if it's a relevant backlink. So like if you are, let's say you're a site that is like the wedding photographer and the wedding planner. Okay, if you're both like a local site and Google right then there knows, okay, you both are relevant because you're in the same area basically to start with. So that's a huge plus. And on top of that, you're in a related market, which is, wedding stuff. So that's like another huge plus. So in that case, they care less if there's like a reciprocal link. But having said that too, oftentimes the methods I'm saying right here, oftentimes the other business will gladly have an article from you with a link to you without having basically an article of theirs on your site, because they want the easiest way out. And if they have an article on your site, they have to take the time to basically make that. And many times they'll just gladly accept basically the article or the post on your site with the link based on the fact that they get extra content that they can rank for, and they have a chance to get paid off that because you can give them a referral fee. And on top of that, there might be like, some of these guys might say, well, I won't link to you on my site, or I won't post an article, but I'll refer guys to you that I think need your services. So even if you don't get a backlink, you can still make money off of these kinds of deals here. Now the second question, which was from, I believe, Alan, he basically asked what's called a no follow. So there's, and that again is like kind of old school stuff. So years back when Google saw a lot of guys were trying to game the system basically, they saw that guys were trying to get lots and lots of backlinks, and even when guys would get like relevant backlinks, they started to look at like follow and no follow. No follow basically means a site says, if I link to the site, I don't want you to give them authority or credit. So they would say that's a no follow tag. You don't have to really know what those mean. It just means that they're trying to say, I'm not really passing on authority to this site here. I'm just linking to them. So what the case was, a lot of people think that if you get a no follow tag that it's basically worthless. That's not true, because what was actually found out is that even if you say no follow, Google actually still looks at those. In fact, even if you mention a site and don't actually link to it, like if you say mysite.com and it's not a clickable link, Google will actually read that still, and they'll know that you're mentioning that site. So even if it's not a link, they'll still see you basically talking about a site, and they'll ignore kind of their old rule, because that's kind of like an outdated rule per se. But even on top of that, it's not always just about if you get follow or no follow links. It's oftentimes about, again, the relevancy and the traffic that you can get from that too. So when we talk more on like prior trainings and stuff about like, finding forums and blogs and stuff to talk on, if there's a lead on a forum saying, hey, I suffer from back pain, what's a quick, alternative medicine or tactic that I can use to alleviate that, you don't care about necessarily getting a follow backlink. That's a lead right there. That is a prospect, okay? So when you answer that guy, you're sending that guy to your site, and you're oftentimes sending hundreds to thousands of extra people that happen across that very same question well into the future for weeks, months, or even years to come, where it's not just about the backlink at that point. It's about the traffic and the targeting of that traffic to be highly targeted prospects, and the benefit is the link. So yes, obviously a follow link can carry a tinge more weight, but in the past while we've seen there's not a huge difference between a follow and a no follow if they're used well. Now, if you're just basically trying to spam a link out there, that holds a lot more weight and such, because what they basically do is they'll look at the text and the close proximity to that text. So if you just say, check out my page on how to alleviate back pain, and it's just a link and nothing else, regardless of if it's a follow or no follow, they won't necessarily pass on a lot of credibility then in a lot of cases. And that's because, lots of people just spam comments and stuff like that. Whereas if you give an actual thoughtful reply that's at least semi-unique and highly relevant to that site, where you say, hey, based upon the pain that you said you have here, here's some stuff that you can do to alleviate that, yada, 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 yada. And by the way, you can check out my blog post here, which can give you even more tips on how to help alleviate that. They actually check that kind of stuff based upon what we've seen and all that. So again, the key just goes back to providing value first and foremost, and it will get you, again, the prospects and then the backlink as the added bonus and incentive right there. But on top of that, too, the type of backlinks that we're basically talking about in this case right here, I mean, you're forging relationships, and these have, from what we've seen, the most credibility out of probably almost anything that you could probably get out there. All right. Let's see. All right. There's a couple questions that are like, what's the quickest or best way to rank on page one? Well, we actually cover a lot of that in our prior training. So make sure that you check out some of our prior calls. They're actually labeled. I think the Jumpstart call covers that, and I think the second one does too. But they're all labeled, so you can check out those. And we actually go through like the top things that you should look at to get ranked. But just to briefly recap, it's stuff like having a fairly easy to rank for keyword, as like a title tag and all that, and then having that also have it be relevant in the content, having a compelling title that also includes the keyword you're trying to rank for, and that for most keywords that aren't too competitive, that alone will be a very good chance of ranking soon. But make sure you watch the call on that, because we actually talked for probably like an hour and a half or so just on how to do that kind of stuff right there. So that will help you a lot. All right. I don't know what you mean, Anne, unless I'm not sure if there's a prior question. Yes, you said, can you just mention your website in the comments? Okay. All right. No,
Sharon,
no. Okay,
can you post up in the chat box the link to WebFire, please? Because there are two or three people that are asking for it. Thanks.
Okay. And then so there's a question here saying they're basically asking if you can just post a link to your site, in the comments on another person's blog. Well, you can, but it's not really a good method, because you want to, again, have value in that post, like what we talked about. And on I think our last call, if not the last one, the one prior, we had talked a lot about how to respond to these kinds of leads and stuff, so make sure you check out that. But you want to provide actual text and actual info and stuff first, instead of just like leaving a link there. And another trick that you can do too is, instead of leaving a link to your site, it could be a link to like a YouTube clip that you have, or anything like that as well. All right. And yes, Dale, it's perfectly fine if you have an assistant that logs in. All right, so there's a couple people that have questions that I can tell they're basically thinking a bit too hard, which I think we're all basically guilty of at times. So one is basically asking, what are the legal aspects of doing SEO for other people? And Sean's actually a lawyer, but I'll give my brief opinion, and then he can feel free to chime in as the lawyer, among us, but you're overthinking stuff if you think like you have to have like a bunch of contracts and a bunch of like papers and all stuff like that, because like most guys out there just want the service done, and there's not really, I mean, you don't have to be too worried about the liability stuff unless you're like, in my opinion, unless you're trying to do like really shady stuff where you'd like harm their business or rep or anything like that. You shouldn't be too concerned about that. But if you do a Google search, there's probably tons and tons of templates that you can get for contracts and stuff like that. But I usually don't have clients do contracts unless it's like a very big client that's like 10K plus. I had one that was either 12 grand a month or 16 grand a month, where there was like a basic contract in place, but I mean, neither side really cared because we just got the work essentially done. But especially for stuff that's like $1,000 a month or less, basically you do the work, they're perfectly happy. If they're not happy, then they basically cancel. And if you have like a refund guarantee, I'm not saying you have to have one, but if you do, I mean, there's really nothing that can really go wrong there in a lot of cases. So I oftentimes think that guys are like worried about like, hey, if a guy pays me $500 and I do a half hour of work and then later I somehow don't get paid for month 2, I want to make sure I don't get screwed. And they're so worried about being screwed that they never get paid to start with because they're so concerned about that. And Sean, since you're a lawyer, I'll let you chime in on what you think as far as that stuff.
Okay. You guys are worried about too many things. So yes, it's always great if you have contracts and create clear understandings, and you can certainly get a lawyer to draft up contracts for you to use. We don't supply legal advice or sample contracts for any of this kind of stuff because we don't actually want the responsibility of telling you the details of how to do that. That's a whole other ballgame. But we don't, for the products that we sell, have any specific contracts that we even use with people. If they're not happy, they leave. Now, we require payment up front, so we don't really worry a whole lot about it because we get paid in advance or we don't do the work. It's really that simple from our standpoint because we're not going to go to work for free. If you are going to make a deal with somebody, then you certainly want to have at least an email chain or a letter or something, at least basic that says, hey, if you accomplish this objective, they're going to pay you, X amount of dollars, which you can write up in any form you want to, as long as it's clear what's actually going to happen. In most cases, if you think through the other side of this, if the person, let's say you say, okay, if I accomplish this, it's, you owe me $500, okay? And that's great. Now, if you accomplish it and the guy doesn't pay you, are you really going to go spend, $2,000 or $3,000 to hire a lawyer to go sue the guy? The answer is no. So, because the reality of all this is that as long as the parties have a clear understanding, they're going to do business together and life is going to be good. And if one side is going to be a jerk, then none of this really matters in the long run because you're not going to get along, you're not going to continue to do business with somebody who's not paying you for the service and the product that you're delivering. Okay, so don't over worry about all that, and you're not carrying liability for anything that you're doing. You're not like a heart surgeon or giving legal advice or anything. You're just trying to help them promote their website and their online business, and in exchange get paid for the service that you're providing. So Brian, wow, Randolph, I think you should have written a longer question. I have to expand my screen to read this. Anyway, go ahead, Brian.
So there's another question on legal stuff from Amelia, it looks like, and she says, who is liable in case there is a dispute on a white label product, the white label guy or the original producer of the product? So with that, I mean, there's a lot of different cases there, but if you have an actual product and not a service, and you say, hey, so-and-so can white label your product and you're just paid a cut, in that case, the guy who sells it would probably be, responsible for how they basically sell it and stuff like that. But let's say you have a service where, they're reselling your service basically. You can kind of decide like, hey, if you want to do a contract, again, I try not to do a ton of those, but, if you want to do a contract, you could probably say, who has the responsibility of that, but it'd probably be, the marketer has the responsibility of how they market it, whereas the service provider has the, responsibility of basically doing what the service does. So like, if you, if you don't do the work that you said that you do, obviously there could be issues there, but Sean, if you want to elaborate more on that too. Again, I think it's one of those things that you guys are trying to think too hard rather than just do an easy deal. But Sean, do you have any thoughts on that? Being the lawyer again?
I agree.
No. The correct answer is it depends, but I agree.
Depends on whether or not you pay my fee.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Again, you're thinking like too hard on that stuff right there, and that's a problem I oftentimes see too. Is guys tend to like way overthink stuff. I've seen guys. I kid you not, and I say this as a joke, but I know to the actual person it's not a joke. But I actually was at a event that I spoke at once many years back, and I talked about traffic and SEO and all that stuff. And then a couple years later, I spoke in the same area, at the same event, but it was like a couple years after that first one. And a guy that attended that first one, who asked me a question then, who I gave some tips to, he asked me, some other questions the second time a couple years later, and I found out that 2 or 3 years after the fact, he was still thinking what domain name would be best for him to make the site for his business. So it took him over 2 years, and he was still thinking, well, should I get this domain or that name? Which one's better? So, literally, guys, you might laugh at this, but there's a lot of you that are kind of in the same boat where it's a simple, easy decision, but you think so hard on it that it literally takes years to do anything. I was at another event once where there was a guy who was stuck on what browser to use because he heard that, one browser was basically, better or faster for, marketers than another one, and he was stuck on such a super simple, easy thing that, it's like at times I think we try to find stuff to hold us up because I think people are afraid of taking the next step, basically, that they try to find excuses or reasons why. And if you sit back and look at it from like a third perspective, a lot of those reasons just sound really dumb because, quite frankly, they kind of are. And so you have to, get over that stuff to bring yourself to the next level there. And Sean, at any point in time, if you want to pause and think we should do the cash giveaway, let me know. Otherwise, we can answer a few more questions first or answer them after.
Well, why don't you give people the link to the Facebook page, and then we can answer some questions while people are being able to do stuff there.
Good point. All right, guys. So what we'll do is, if you like this training, you can share, like, or comment at facebook.com/WebFire Software. And anyone that leaves a comment on it, we'll pick a random one of you on this call in just a bit, and we'll give you $100 today to your PayPal. So again, just go to facebook.com/WebFire Software, and you can like, share, comment, but if you leave a comment, we'll make sure to, in just a bit, live on this call, we'll pick a random winner from that. And in the meantime, you can continue to ask questions here too, and we'll give you guys a little bit to do those comments and stuff, and then we'll go back to that. So Sean, let's do a few more questions, and then we'll go to the Facebook page.
All right, so Peter asked this question. He says, is get traffic the best method for backlinks for a blog site promoting ClickBank? And if so, once I've sent out on a number, I think he means posted on a number of forums, should he expect to see his thread immediately in the relevant forums. And while you're going to answer that question, related to that,
what's the question again?
wait, so you weren't listening at all, is what you're saying?
I was listening. I just didn't quite follow as I was reading.
Oh man, you're going to make me repeat myself. Okay.
Yep.
So ready? Peter asks, is get traffic the best method for backlinks for a blog site promoting ClickBank, by which he means, I'm sure, a ClickBank affiliate product? And if so, once he's posted on a number of forums, should he expect to see his thread showing up in the forums? Go.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what you're asking there, but so I don't know what you mean by is get traffic the best way. Yeah, let me see if I can pull up the question itself here, because that didn't really make sense to me. Okay. Or yeah, you're actually talking about something outside of WebFire. So get traffic is a feature on another tool. But let's see if I can read this. All right. So what I think you're basically asking is, yeah. So it looks like you're misusing a couple words and getting confused on a few things. So I think what you're basically asking is, if you have a blog, and if you have a blog post that's promoting a ClickBank product, what's the best way to get backlinks for that? Well, if you're just an affiliate, you could have like an affiliate review, as a blog post. You could turn it into a video and throw that up on YouTube. Both those are great ways not only to get ranking and traffic, but also to get backlinks to each other as well. So you can do a video that also links back to your site, but the video itself can rank, well too and all that. But if you're just doing, like, let's say a review of a ClickBank product, you could use tools inside of WebFire like real-time lead finder or ranked lead finder or the Q&A lead tool, and find guys that are basically talking about either the product in question, looking for a review of that, looking for reviews of related products, or just asking general questions in that niche, which would be basically indicating that they might be interested in that product, and then give useful info in your actual reply, and then mention how, hey, you have a more in-depth, review posted online, at your site here, or posted on YouTube here. And we actually cover a lot of that in our prior training too, so make sure you check out that too. But that's a great way to start right there. So that's why I didn't fully understand that one, Sean. So there's just a few terms I think got mixed up there. All right. So this person asked
hey, the Facebook link is pushed out to you guys in the chat window, but it's also facebook.com/webfire software. Facebook.com/webfire software.
It's also the link that you should see on the PowerPoint right now too.
That's way too easy. I'm not reading the PowerPoint.
Let's not overcomplicate it. So here's a question right here. They ask, is there a particular video in the members area that walks through building a site or a blog and ranking it? So the Jumpstart training, as well as I think training 2, talks a lot about SEO and ranking. And we also talk in the first one, I think, a lot about how to easily create a blogger.com blog in like a few minutes time. So that's one that you should definitely check out there. All right. All right, so here's a question from Christina. And this is actually a pretty good question here. So Christina asks, are PBN considered black hat? So PBN stands for Private Blog Network, and it's basically, the idea behind it is, if you create a ton of blogs on a related niche, and then you give yourself or give your main site a bunch of backlinks, with the hope of increasing the ranking of your main site is that black hat. Well, what a lot of guys do is they create like these blog networks where they tell you to sign up to like 50 different web hosts and have like 1 or 2 sites on each web host and then link back and do all this like crazy stuff. And that's definitely when you're trying to game the system, there's loopholes that sometimes do actually work for like a short time, but Google tends to try to actively shut those down. Now, if you do what I think is more white hat or more in line with what they want, if you have like let's say a site on weight loss and then you make a separate site on back pain and a separate site on whatever else and you have a few sites like that all make complete sense, stand on their own two legs by themselves and link to each other. As long as they give useful info, I think that provides value and won't really be seen as anything bad. But there's a lot of guys that create like these vast networks of blogs where if you go to the individual blog itself, they don't really have useful info. They're clearly set up just to link to like another site, and if it looks spammy to start with, the rule of thumb is it's probably something that Google doesn't like, and more they've basically been looking at the user interaction, and we talked a bit about that in our prior calls where they look at like the percentage of people that click through and stay on your site, how long they stay on your site versus another site in your niche and stuff like that. So they want to see if you're providing valuable content first and foremost, a lot more in the last like 2-3 years than they have like years and years prior. And oftentimes like a lot of these big blog networks don't really have that benefit there. Now there are like loopholes where you can use stuff to get ranked at least for a short time, but the problem with those is that anytime Google does an update, you're under a major risk of just being completely burnt. And at the same time, any day, if someone reports your site or a random bot thinks that you're essentially a spam site, you risk losing all those rankings, getting kicked out of Google and all that stuff. And I know a lot of guys that have gotten in essentially trouble that way, where if you really want to game the system and get ranked for like a couple weeks and get as much traffic as possible in a couple weeks and start over from scratch, that's all fine if that's what you want, but I tend to stay away from most of those. Now, there's a handful of guys that teach to do like public blog networks, but in a more like, I'd say like white hat way, where again, it's like relevant sites that can stand on their own two feet and stuff, kind of more like what I was saying. But a lot of guys that sell stuff is for sure definitely on the black hat side. To give a long answer as a short answer there. All right. Theo asked how much we charge. I'm not sure what specifically you're asking on, but feel free to clarify. Unless you were basically talking to Sharon or Sean previously and I missed that. Okay. All right, so there's a couple guys that are asking like, what's the quickest way to jump in with the software, and definitely watch our Jumpstart training, because that has some of the quickest and fastest ways that we think that you can do just that. But I mean, like one way is, again, you could write reviews and get those ranked, and then use the lead tools to find guys looking for that stuff. But yeah, we actually cover several ways on that. All right, Christina asked another question. She asked if there is a benefit for SEO for internal site linking. And the short answer to that is yes. So internal site linking basically is like if you have, let's say you have a blog post that's about weight loss, okay? And partway through that blog post you say, well, oftentimes if you're overweight, you might have back pains, or you might have this, or you might have that, and then might say, if you suffer from back pains and you're not sure if it's related to your weight or not, I wrote another blog post on this here. And then you give a link to your other blog post or your other web page on the same site that talks about that specific topic. That's basically internal linking. So it's like linking to other pages on your own site. And that's always a good thing, because the longer you can keep guys on your site and the longer you can get them essentially clicking on your site and not going to another site, that's all factors that essentially Google and all those guys look at. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Okay. All right, there's a couple guys that are asking, like, how does this SEO tool compare to that and all? Well, there's a lot of tools out there that do like a website analysis, which one of the many tools inside of WebFire do that. Like we do a website analysis and all that. We include like a lot more info than most there. Like we look at like social signals. We also look at like how truly we think you actually can rank for that based on anywhere in the world, so we can localize all that. But more importantly, we also have tools that help you rank, and on top of that, we go way beyond just a website analysis, and we have like a bunch of lead tools and all that stuff right there, content distribution, and a whole bunch of stuff there. So there's nothing quite like what we do there, but there's definitely some like more dumbed down like what website analysis is and stuff that just look at a handful of basics, like if your keywords and the title tag and stuff like that. All right. All right, and so there's a couple people that asked if they could what our fan pages and all that stuff right there. So again, it's just facebook.com/WebFire software. So that's the actual fan page right there. And we'll occasionally post some useful info and stuff on that as well.
But let's go there, Brian, and give away money.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, there's a question here if we could do a group instead of a fan page at some point. And yeah, we can definitely look into doing that if there's an interest there. Let me just pause the screen for a second as I go back to the fan page. Where are you? There you are. All right. Just refresh this. All right. So right here is the fan page, and once more, it's facebook.com/WebFire software. If you haven't done a comment yet, I'll give you another minute to basically do so, and then we'll do the drawing. So right now, it looks like there's 60-some comments, including a happy cactus. I like that. Yeah, so there's 62 right now. I'll give you guys another 30 seconds.
I was really hoping to get a dancing cactus. That's what I really wanted.
Dancing cactus, all right. Bonus points if you have a dancing cactus. All right, and what we'll do in just about 10 seconds, we'll do the random drawing. And all right, so we'll do a countdown. So again, go to WebFire or go to facebook.com/WebFire software. Do a comment real quick about what you thought of the training. And all right, guys, and I'll do the countdown 10 seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I gotta love this comment from George right here. It says, "What's up, Sean and Casey? He left out me."
Hey, listen, I talked for like 3 minutes this call.
Yeah, like the main guy talking on this call, he left out. But no, I understand. Sean Casey's actually his whole name there. I'm Brian Cos, but that's okay. We'll still give you an equal chance to win.
That will be ironic if he wins.
Yeah. All right, so I will refresh the screen now. Okay.
And while you're doing, you look at that, I got to read Don Whelan's comment because I really appreciate this. He said, WebFire 3.0 works. I've been trying to make a go of online marketing since 1999. This is the first software to really work. Purchased a new domain name using WebFire to find keywords and made a simple video. I ranked on page 6 of Google within hours, went to page 3 in 1 day and page 1 in 2 days in a competitive food niche. This rocks.
Nice.
Thank you, Dan, for posting that up. We appreciate that. Glad to know you're using it and that you got great results.
Oh yeah, that's him right there. Awesome.
All right, and Timothy just sent me a link to the image of the dancing cactus. Thank you, Timothy. Okay, so let's go ahead and.
All right. So what we will do is, all right, let's go down to about there.
Yeah, let's make sure you're in the right week's training.
Yeah. All right, so there's a lot of, so it looks like there's 70 plus right there. What we'll do is I will do a random countdown from 10, and I'll stop on the screen then we'll go from there. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So we'll be among these right here.
When the cactus has a chance.
The cactus has a chance. That's kind of funny. All right. What I'll do now is I will go up and down like this, and Sean, you say stop, and I will stop, and assuming I'm on the screen at that point, that will be the winner. If it's like in between two exactly, we can do like a flip of the coin. All right, so say stop at any point, or do like a countdown, like 3, 2, 1, Sean, stop. Say 3, 2, 1, stop. Right.
2, 1, stop.
All right, so winner is Wendy Finlayson. All right, with the little doll as, I don't know if that's a picture of her as a kid or
No, I think that's a child. Be careful now.
Well, it looks like, yeah.
All right, Wendy, congratulations, and shoot us a quick message via Facebook or to support at WebFire, and we'll zap you $100. All right, guys, any other questions before we wrap up? I think we did get everybody's questions answered, but if not, go ahead and pop them into the question box, and we'll try to answer them before we wrap up. And thanks, everybody, for all your wonderful comments and your likes and loves and everything else.
Yeah, the likes and loves are always nice. All right. All right, so yeah, if there's any last-minute questions, feel free to ask. And if by chance we missed any, I don't think, but if by chance we did, you can always write support@webfire.com, or better yet, if you're logged into a WebFire, there is a support tab that goes to the help desk. So if by chance there's like an email issue or anything like that, it'll make sure to go straight to the help desk. So you can always log in there and see a reply, because they'll always write back in a day or less. Usually it's within like a couple hours or less, assuming it's not like late at night or anything like that.
All right, so, Brian, you answered Chan's question, and I'm going to answer Braden's question. Thank you, Chan. If you can just type an answer in there for that. All right, so Braden, your question is anybody using WebFire to promote a certain thing successfully? I'm not going to say the thing you asked for 2 reasons. One is because it doesn't matter, but secondly, because that way everybody won't be going, oh, he thinks we should promote this. Let's all run and do that, okay? Because I don't want to throw everybody all off track of what they're trying to be focused on. first of all, we only know what people are actually promoting successfully if they're communicating that to us, or they're giving us a the story of a certain thing they had success in. But you can use WebFire to promote and find leads for anything. It really doesn't matter what niche it is. I mean, it can be food, it could be weight loss on the other hand, it could be fitness, it might be personal development, it could be survival, finance, how to make money online, a business opportunity. I mean, there really is an endless number of things and ways that you could promote online using WebFire. So the answer is probably yes, but I don't know of anybody specifically in that niche, but you certainly can do that because there's always a lot of people looking for that service. There obviously are millions of customers, if not hundreds of millions of customers in that marketplace. So it definitely would work for that. I can't answer specifically on that niche if somebody's doing that. We're answering questions. Whoop, Sharon, I think you actually meant to answer Claude's question. You accidentally popped in the wrong, put that in the wrong one. There you go. That's all right. We'll do that. All right, guys. Any other questions? Brian's typed answers to a couple of you guys who had questions. Again, we always appreciate you guys being here, being members, giving us all this great positive feedback. We're going to have an awesome training next week doing some stuff. Jason, for us to move to Blab, to move to another platform means that we need to go have everybody remember to go off and register and change the way in which they're used to actually communicating, which is really hard with all the different members that we have and everything for everybody to change to a new platform. So it's unlikely we're going to go do that. All right. So Mimi, yes, it'll work for a local window cleaning business. It'd certainly be better if you have a website because you could find people looking up, searching and maybe saying, hey, I need to get my windows cleaned. We just had spring cleaning at my house, in fact, and we had somebody in, cleaning windows and pressure washing and cleaning everything top to bottom from, my 20-foot ceilings on down. And so there's always people looking for services like that, but it's going to be easier. First of all, it's fairly easy to rank a website because it's way less competitive for a local business like that than if you're trying to compete nationally or internationally. And so you definitely are going to want to have even just a basic website. You get somebody on a freelance site or on Fiverr to put up, so you don't have to spend like 3 months trying to figure out how to build it yourself. So you can rank that pretty easily. But even without it, you could generate business. But you will find that for a local business, you're going to be better off and get more results with a website that you can refer people to see what offers that you have. All right. Targeting affiliates, you actually need any backlinks. Okay, this is a great question. So Tim says, if you have a website that's targeting a fairly easy keyword to rank for with very little competition, does it necessarily need any backlinks? And the answer is no, it doesn't. So this flies in the face of what you would commonly think is true, but it doesn't. It all depends upon your ability to rank for a specific keyword depends upon what everybody else is doing, right? So, it's like being in an auction, right? How much you have to pay for something depends upon how much somebody else is willing to pay. Well, really ranking for SEO, in Google or Yahoo or Bing, it's all based upon how much somebody else is willing to pay, how much work someone else has done. If you're fighting against an identical page that has 100 high authority backlinks, you've got to go compete to that level. But if your competition is easy, then you don't have to work any harder than necessary. So what you want to do always is to set up your site or new page, your new blog post, submit that using the submission tool that's inside of WebFire, and then add it to your rank tracking, and then as soon as Google gets it ranked, see where you're ranking. Okay? Because you know, if you find, you know, like the example that somebody had just posted up on the Facebook group today, you know, where they initially got going, you know, and they started out, they were on page 6 of Google, which may not sound like much, but depending upon how competitive that term is, that's actually pretty high, you know, if you're competing against hundreds of thousands or millions of other results. But then they, you know, they went from page 6, they bumped to page 3, they bumped to page 1, just following exactly what we're telling you to do. And now, you know, on page 1, let's say you're on page 1 and you're number 5. Well, how do you go from 5 to 1? The answer is, you know, more quality incoming links is going to do a tremendous job of jumping you up the rankings, right? So no, you don't necessarily need backlinks, but, you know, they have, you know, dual value. Number one is helping you in rankings, but the other thing that they have that you can never forget is, and Brian made a point of this earlier, is that they represent real people visiting if you're coming off of other sites with traffic that are related to what you're doing, right? Like he was talking about, you know, somebody's on a wedding planner site and they get a referral to a wedding photographer, right? Or vice versa. Forgetting the SEO value of those links, think about the real human, you know, value. I mean, I don't know what it costs to get wedding pictures taken, but, you know, hundreds of dollars, if not, you know, over $1,000, right? So a single referral from a wedding planner could be worth $1,000 to a wedding photographer. Forget whether or not you get ranked. That link alone has so much individual value to you as a potential $1,000 customer, right, that you want as many of those as you can get just because you want $1,000 customers. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. All right. All right. Way to go, Jason. That's awesome. I'll tell you what he did in a second because I got distracted. You know, talk about ADD. I've distracted. I finished reading Jason's thing. I'm answering him and looking at something else. All right. Hey, Mimi, yes, we offer done-for-you services, you know, because we actually do this for other clients. If you just email support@webfire.com and tell them, you know, kind of what you're looking to get done, we can see how we can help you out with that. Hey, Jason just posted, I also want to thank you guys using WebFire. I ran a site analysis for potential client. I explained the metrics and educated them on keywords, offered a few keywords they may want to rank for, and also gave them 5 blog sites to participate in. They just hired me to do their SEO. So awesome work, Jason. Way to take action, and congrats on the new client. Oh, that's not unusual. So Tim said he just found, whoops, sorry. I want to go further. Tim was the guy who asked a question about ranking without without backlinks. So he said he's found on a new site that one of his inner pages is ranking higher than his home page for the same keywords after less than 2 weeks. So that's not shocking at all. Okay? Something you guys always have to remember, and especially if you're new, this is kind of confusing because it's not the way that it immediately comes to mind. But when you are thinking of ranking your website, it isn't really ranking your website, it's ranking your web pages. So if you have 100 individual pages on your website, you really have 100 different pages that Google's indexed and can rank for various keywords. And those pages generally won't target all one specific keyword. They're going to target individual keywords for every page as you set up a page, right? So, and your best keywords you can have more than one page for, obviously. So, you know, what page is going to rank highest is going to depend upon Google's understanding of that page and its value and its relationship to the term that actually got searched that it's ranking you for. So, depending upon what keywords you have, and if you've got, you know, incoming links to those inner pages, those pages will often rank higher for many keywords, including what you thought your homepage was about, because Google just decided to rank that one higher. And so as you work and you make, you know, let's say you have 10 pages on your site and it's about gardening, and so you have one that's on, you know, roses, and another one on peonies, and another one on irises, and another page on tulips, and then you do a guest blog post because somebody says, you know, I'd love to have a blog post about, you know, when to plant tulips so they show up in spring, right? And so you write them a quick blog post because this is what you know how to do, and you just blow it out in 10 minutes and you post it. You would link that back to your Tulip page, because you would say, this is by me, I'm an expert gardener, and you can get more information about tulips here at my Tulip page. You link to your Tulip page, right? Well, now you're getting an authority link from another site and real readers and traffic over to your site on a Tulip page. You're going to help your Tulip page rank higher than just a generic gardening page, right? Okay? I know you guys really wanted the long answer. Okay. What else we got? You guys are posting faster than I can talk, which Lord knows is actually saying something. Yeah, yes, Tim, I'm also an expert on tulips. I have a guy who sticks them in the ground for me. That's why I'm an expert. Okay. Any other questions, guys? You guys, we still have hundreds of people still hanging on the call. But if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll wrap up. If you do, type them in real quick before we call it a wrap. Again, thank you all for being here and being members and joining in the Wednesday fun. Francis, done-for-you services. We provide all kinds of done-for-you services. So we will do everything from, and do for client companies, we do everything from SEO analysis and ongoing work on websites and ongoing promotion. We do video creation and promotion. We do blog management. We do SEO management or social media management. We do reputation management, just pretty much all the different kinds of things you see WebFire can do, we run as a whole separate business for clients. That's actually where much of the idea behind tools inside of WebFire came from, was things that Brian was doing before he and I were ever partners and was having people do manually, that we've automated much of to make it super simple and easy to do. You can imagine, to analyze a website before there was software to analyze a website meant you first of all had to learn everything, then you had to figure out what was good or bad about a website by applying your skills and manually going through all the pages on the website, and then you had to know how to actually fix everything on the website to do it, which is now all embodied in a 5-minute piece of software, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. But if you want more information about something specific, Francis, just email support@webfire.com. All right, good, Mimi. Okay, thank you, Francis. You guys are awesome. All right, so thanks, everybody. Brian, I'm going to let you wrap this baby up since you started it all off.
All right, guys. If by chance we missed a question or anything like that, just write us at support@webfire.com. And hopefully we see you guys next week on next week's call. That'll be some real exciting stuff there, where we'll talk a bit about selling high-priced services and stuff, and you'll see a special offer from Sean and I on how you can sell those, whether you do the work yourself or not there. All right, so with that, guys, thanks again for joining us on this call, and we look forward to seeing you on future calls, all at Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So thanks much, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.